I don't think I formed my first political opinion until I was 25. Before, I avoided politics like I avoided reading. I told myself it wasn't for me. In reality, I was just intimidated. And growing up in California, I feel like election results were always predetermined. I still understood the importance of voting, but I kind of just voted for whatever the popular opinion was, you know? I just let my environment decide for me. Like most things though, I was wrong about that. Then
Everything changed when the
I'm gonna come.
and politics went from boring to
This president doesn't sleep. He's working all the time.
Have you said thank you once?
Why are you protecting pedophiles?
That is maybe the most offensive thing you could say to me.
Kissing my ass. People from shithole countries.
Bull. Done with that shit.
And yourself.
To my haters, F you.
a weekly reality show with daily headlines. If you scroll Wall Street Bets at all, you see so many posts of people trying to turn headlines into trades and then just making a fuck ton of money. And in my head, I could kind of see how Trump would be the most valuable financial data available to the public. And I wanted to start paying attention to what he was up to. As my washed goat Kanye would say, money isn't everything, not having it is. He also said this. Anyways, from polling, you can kind of recognize that a large portion of voters voted for him under the same idea that he would juice the economy in the same way he did in his first term. What I learned from someone who likes to follow markets and has a degree in wombology.
You got it set to M for mini, when it should be set to W for Wumbo.
Narratives drive markets more than the underlying asset itself, which has made me a bit cynical. Then you notice company CEOs lying through their teeth in order to pump up their stock price. Surely our politicians wouldn't do the same, right? Surely not. So best believe I made a True Social account, followed Trump, turned notifications on. I kept up with the drama surrounding him in the last year, you know, with his executive orders, AI deals, his memes. If I actually wanted to make money, I would need to dig deeper. Which means, you guessed it, I had to read. So I tried reading stuff from, I don't know, New York Times mostly, Reuters, some Substacks, in search of delicious alpha that I could use to fight this losing battle against index funds. Because I didn't know what narratives would actually move markets, I kind of just read everything. I'm just literally explaining that I'm reading the news. Holy shit. I'd open an article about tariffs and then 15 minutes later, I'd be reading about how a family was torn apart because of ICE deportations. I think it was a good thing that I didn't filter out my news. Like, I got a better idea of what was actually happening around the world. And before, I completely ignored this because most things don't really affect your day to day. Over the course of the year where I actually followed the news, I saw so many examples of powerful people overpromising, underdelivering, and frankly, factually speaking, bullshitting.
He asked me, he said, do you think we should allow insider trading in prediction markets? And I said, it's actually it's not a clear-cut question, right? Because you actually want insider trading.
Things like ignoring the rising costs in living, doing these weird crypto scams, the Epstein files, so many things. It stopped feeling like news. It was literally like following a TV drama. You could feel all this tension building and no one was really in control. I started to get why there was all this civil unrest. It was this profound idea to me that despite no matter how well educated or perfect someone may seem for a position in politics, they're just people. Most of them are just like us, still figuring things out as they go. This doesn't comfort me though. I always expected those in positions of power always making the most logical decisions, especially when you're running a fucking country. I understand that people have different viewpoints and agendas. Like, no one is perfect. This isn't about who's right or wrong. This is about not looking away. Because if no one's paying attention, then we're all just gonna get taken advantage. We're all gonna get diddied. Because when leaders aren't doing a good job, there's real human costs to shitty policies. When egg prices spiked and grocery prices increased, I didn't care. I was still able to afford groceries. When tariffs added, I didn't care. It's not like I imported things from overseas anyways. When the government shutdown happened, I didn't care. It's not like I don't have a government job. And my flights were still on time. Even when Charlie Kirk got assassinated, and then he got resurrected as a meme on my feed, I didn't care that much. I mean, he's like a big politician, someone who's like super distant from me, and someone I can't really relate to. Plus, I couldn't even stomach watching the crime, bro. Fuck. From what I heard, it was bad though. It was bad. Each one of these things, I'd always think like, damn, that's kind of sad. But not my problem though. I unironically was just living the modern version of this poem from World War II. It starts, first they came for the socialists, but I did not speak up because I was not a socialist. Except for me, it starts, you know, first they come at me with things that don't affect me. And I didn't care because they don't affect my daily life. But the end of the poem goes, then they came for me, and then there was no one left to speak out for me. Now there's this big developing story in Minnesota with ICE shootings that started with Renee Good. And I finally worked up the courage to actually watch the footage of the ICE officer and Renee Good. A part of me expected to just repeat the thought process. But truthfully, it is the first time that I've watched someone die. And it definitely sat with me for a while. Maybe it was the first time I could actually connect the dots in my tiny brain that these are real people. She was a regular person with a family, just sending her kid to school. I didn't need to be an expert in anything to see that a mother dying in her car is a tragedy. I just had to be willing to look so I could decide for myself what I stand for. Like I said before, I always avoided having a political opinion for a lot of reasons. To avoid the things that make me feel uncomfortable, or the feeling that I had to read more and more and become an expert before I was allowed to have an opinion. It's it's easy to get overwhelmed with everything that goes on in the world. But you don't need a degree in poli-sci to have a conscience. And equally, it's okay to say, I don't know, while you're still forming an opinion. And obviously there's a lot of nuance. Not everything is black and white. This isn't about me telling you about what to think or who to support. If there's one thing you take away from this video, it's understand that there are no gatekeepers from politics. There was nothing stopping me from building my own thoughts and opinions. I realized I was choosing to collect because, some of the things made me truly uncomfortable or I thought were too complicated. Just like learning to read, learning what the fuck is going on in your country takes time, and it's okay to start late. You don't have to be loud or certain to care. You just have to look. I don't know, I'm a little bit fired up. There's a lot of things going on this year. And now that I paid attention, I'm just like, was this how it always was? Can someone tell me in the comments? Is this how politics always was? Because now I simply have to follow for the rest of my life. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe. See you in the next one.